my fellow gods and goddesses, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today we are doing a discussion on A Folk in the Air series by Holly Black. Okay, so before we get into it, I would like to apologize for my absence in the month of November. I just didn't have any motivation to film, to read, to really do anything, and so that is why I've kind of been gone for a while. I am going to be doing like a fairy inspired makeup look. I have kind of a vision in my head. I'll pop up some inspiration pics right here. We're just gonna play with some makeup while we talk about this very hyped series that has just concluded. I will be doing spoilers and spoiler free, so don't worry, I will make sure to have all of the warnings on the screen. I have a lot of opinions, I have a lot of disappointments, I have a lot of things to say. I also tweeted and wanted to reach out to see what you guys thought, so I will include some of those. As you guys know, I absolutely adored Cruel Prince. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Go check out my reading vlog for it. I really loved that Holly Black revolutionized the way YA and like the atmosphere of YA and the characterization of her heroine specifically, just the darkness of it. It wasn't her first time doing this with The Cruel Prince by any means, but I feel like at its height in The Cruel Prince, the atmosphere was just extremely whimsical while keeping that balance of extremely dark themes in juxtaposition to just the beauty and the allure of fairy. And I feel like her writing in The Cruel Prince really conveyed that in best way. I think The Cruel Prince is her most well-written story, hands down. Jude is one of my absolute favorite YA heroines because she really shows like this ruthless side. She's one of these morally gray characters that I feel like we don't get a lot in like female characters. She wanted to have a footing amongst these extremely powerful immortal beings, and she was going to get that. And I just loved that ruthlessness and the way that she had to approach gaining power in this world in a more strategic way, use her mind, and she had to be a spy and all of these things. So I really loved that. And I think Holly Black portrayed Jude in such a fantastic way. In my opinion. That's my opinion! Cruel Prince is absolutely #1 book in this series by far. Alright, so my camera cut out, which was so rude. I was saying that The Cruel Prince seems to be a completely different book just because of the tone and the ruthlessness of all of the characters that I feel like I didn't see to the same capacity in the other books. And also, Jude Cardan is peak in The Cruel Prince. The most iconic scene in the entire trilogy is when Jude put the knife to Cardan's throat. You can try to change my mind, but you won't. So save your breath. That's all I needed, and Holly Black gave that to me. And it was such an iconic moment, and there hasn't been an iconic moment since. There, I said it. The tension between Jude and Cardan in The Cruel Prince is only in The Cruel Prince. The way they hated each other, the dynamic between them, how they just wanted to bone each other and they wanted to kill each other at the same time, that dynamic is not seen in any of the other 2 books. It is only seen in The Cruel Prince. I am appalled and cheated by that fact. It really is just so sad. Plot was incredibly developed, and we grow to love Jude. We're invested in her fight for power. We see these dynamics between her and Cardan. We see the dynamic between her and Matic and Terran and Locke, and we see this world written so beautifully that I feel like is not seen in the other two books. Well, Queen of Nothing and Cruel Prince are pretty much on the same level, like lyrically wise, like writing wise, I feel like, but again, it really peaked, and I was so incredibly invested in the entire world and where Holly Black was gonna go. I don't know the whole deal with publishing. I don't know how that all goes down, but to me, the publishers saw how successful The Cruel Prince was and forced Holly's hand to finish the series quickly and get out more books. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but me as a reader reading these books and seeing the decline in quality, that's just what I feel happened. So The Cruel Prince is superior. We've established that. So let's move on to The Wicked King. You guys should know that I did not enjoy The Wicked King whatsoever. We're going to stake my case onto why it's the worst in the trilogy. The reason that I really feel like Holly Black was forced to put out The Wicked King so early is because if you look at The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King just on like the date of publishing, it's so incredibly fast. And also, this year, Wicked King came out in January, Queen of Nothing came out in November. Like, that is freaking ridiculous. I just don't understand who made that decision and thought it was a good idea. If you read The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King like back to back, you see the decline in quality. Even just bare bone to the writing style, it just wasn't as lush and atmospheric and aesthetically pleasing as The Cruel Prince was. Let alone when we get into the discussion of the plot and the lack of development in it. The Wicked King honestly doesn't even need to be read. You could read The Cruel Prince and Queen of Nothing and just read like the last 2 chapters of The Wicked King and be 100% okay. You would not be confused at all. I feel like The Wicked King is the worst thing to happen to this trilogy, and it's the reason that it was so unsuccessful. The key points about The Wicked King is that it was rushed and underdeveloped. Every single thing that happened in The Wicked King didn't have the necessary build-up. It didn't have the necessary tension. It didn't grip me. It didn't make me invested to care, because it was just so lackluster. In The Cruel Prince, we saw this journey that Jude went, and we saw the steps that she took to gain power, to eventually get Cardan under her control, right? We don't see those steps in The Wicked King. Jude is incredibly stagnant in The Wicked King. Her character, despite Ghost saying at the end that because of what she had gone through, she had come out a completely different person, I as a reader didn't see that at all, which is fine, because The Cruel Prince, we saw so much of her development, so I felt like I knew Jude's character in The Wicked King despite her not going through much development. But that doesn't mean that I don't want her to actually be conniving and manipulative and strategic like she was in The Cruel Prince. I don't need her to go through this massive change, but I also kind of want her to do something. I'm not looking for her to be this like all-powerful person who just knows the ins and outs of running a fake country, but I at least want her to be smart about it. We know she's strategic. We know she's not dumb. She thought of all of these plans on her own in The Cruel Prince. So the idea that she suddenly lost all of that when she actually gained her power seems a bit ridiculous to me. She just didn't seem to be the same conniving and intellectual character that she was in The Cruel Prince. That made, one, the plot freaking boring. Everything that happened in the Wicked King, which I say everything that happened, nothing really happened. Can you tell me anything that happened in book 1? Because I can't tell you. So, sorry. It was so incredibly anticlimactic. And like, sure, you can say second book syndrome, but it's different when it's a trilogy, and especially when she's trying to wrap up this story in 3 books. The Wicked King was supposed to be a bridge. This is where Jude Cardan and why The Wicked King ruined the trilogy for me. The Wicked King did not provide that bridge from Cruel Prince to Queen of Nothing in regards to him and their relationship. The Cruel Prince is where the tension really is there between the 2 characters. The Wicked King does not have that tension. And people are going to say, like, oh, did you, like, not read the throne room scene? Yes. Yes, I totally read the throne room scene. And sure, it was a great scene, but I didn't care as much because prior chapters of The Wicked King, although Cardan and Jude do interact, I never felt that tension and that hateful lust that is in The Cruel Prince. I just don't feel like it was there. So the moment that they finally cave in to their desires, I was like, oh yeah, this is happening, it's great, but I don't feel like it was, say it with me, develop. If that would have happened in The Cruel Prince, it would have been way more satisfying because I got the feelings of their hate for each other and sexual attraction to each other. And in The Wicked King, it was just said rather than shown. We're gonna get into spoilers about Wicked King, so if you don't want to be spoiled for Wicked King, just skip to this portion. Lack of development, that lack of tension that I didn't feel in The Wicked King really just makes the wedding scene disappointing because I liked that whole thing happened. I thought it was really interesting, but again, because I didn't feel that tension in the rest of the book, I wasn't as satisfied as I could have been with the wedding scene. Also, loved the exile scene. Like, again, that was obviously the best part of The Wicked King. It was fantastic. It didn't shock me because I was kind of spoiled for it, so I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I could have, but that's not a fault on the book, that's just me not avoiding spoilers. But it didn't fucking matter in Queen of Nothing, which is where we're going to go on to next. So Queen of Nothing. If you haven't read Wicked King, probably should just skip to the end. General thoughts. I didn't like it in comparison to the rest of the trilogy. If it was a standalone romance book, I would have loved it. And also, if I would have read this when I was younger, I would have given it 5 stars. Now we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty. So first off, loved the first 25% of this when she was doing little jobs for the Fae in the mortal world. Oh my gosh, Holly Black, write that entire book. Those interactions between Jude and the Fae in the mortal world were so great because they were literally like, what do you want? I'm gonna eat you. And then Jude's like, no, you're fucking not gonna eat me. And they're like, yeah, you're right. What do you want? The fairies in the mortal world are just so incredibly bored with themselves, and so they're willing to just entertain this like mortal girl who somehow knows all their rules and knows how to act and all those things. I just think that is so genius. Love the fact that the writing style was back, like the lush writing of Queen of Nothing was back. One of the major issues with Queen of Nothing, Taryn just shows up and then she's killed Locke and she's pregnant, and then we don't see her killing Locke. What the fuck was Holly Black doing with that? Unless he's not really dead and he's gonna like come back in more books. I don't know if that's the case, especially because he was such a prominent character in the other 2 books and we're just told that Taryn kills him. That would have been such good opportunity for Taryn to, one, just show the ruthlessness of Taryn that we all know she has, but Holly Black never gave her the moment that she deserved. Taryn is probably the most cheated character in this trilogy. I don't know why Holly Black gave her such little attention. Like, I wanted Taryn to have just as much screen time and just as much, like, attention to her character as Maddie did. I really don't get why Holly Black cheated her so much in this series. She was always just very surface level, and for someone who betrayed Jude twice, you would think that she would have more of a personality, more ambitions, more goals, more literally anything, but she's just a housewife who's gonna raise a kid now. Like, she was literally just used as a plot point when she could have been so much more. The fact that Jude didn't even really know how to portray Taryn, like, she knew that, oh, Taryn wouldn't say this, Taryn wouldn't say that, but it doesn't seem like even Jude knew who Taryn was, even though she was her twin sister. So again, I just feel like Taryn was just not well done in this series whatsoever, despite her being kind of a major character in a sense that she was a major person of the plot. The moment that Cardan announced Jude as his wife and as the queen, I mean, it was great. That was honestly fantastic. If I'm looking at this book as kind of its own entity, I would have adored it, because the moments between Jude and Cardan are amazing. Like, I really loved them. They were such cute moments. They were such great, like, lines. I loved the romance between them in this book. And also, this is a romance book, like, period. Like, this is a fan fiction. This is 100% a fan service book, which isn't how I wanted it to go, but it's a great book if we're looking at it through that lens. But there isn't a bridge between The Cruel Prince and Queen of Nothing. There's no correlation between The Cruel Prince Cardan and Queen of Nothing Cardan. There isn't. No correlation. And I don't think The Wicked King did enough to develop his character to show that development. Him from going to this manipulative ass cancer man to this soft ass cancer man. Like, it just, there wasn't development, there wasn't correlation, there wasn't a journey that was taken. If The Wicked King was dual perspective, I feel like I would have been happy and I would have been content. Again, I feel like The Wicked King didn't do enough for his character. I was enjoying their romance at face value, but I was also like, where the hell did this man come from? And I'm also disappointed that the whole exile thing was a joke. Like, there was no consequence of her exile. And everybody was saying, like, Jude could have revoked the exile herself because she was the queen. I'm a dumbass, I didn't get that. And, like, even if that was the case, it just, I wanted Cardan to finally gain a spine. And reading the last chapter, I was like, yes, like, he's finally gonna, like, take control of the situation. I was so ready because he tricked her into relinquishing her control, then he married her, and then he exiled her. Like, I was just so ready for his character to pop off. And then we learned in The Queen of Nothing that he was just playing around. I feel like that could have been so iconic to, again, bring that hateful nature of the Cruel Prince back into the story and back into their relationship that I didn't feel like happened in The Wicked King. And it could have been so incredible because they could have battled it out. It could have been like Cardan, Jude versus Matic, and they could have had like a little triangle of power, and then like it would have been so iconic. Okay, no, he's just, oh, Jude, I love you, like, I love you so much. Like, it's just so boring. Looking at The Cruel Prince and then going to Queen of Nothing is just a descent into boringness and vanilla ass shit, and that is not what I was promised when I read The Cruel Prince. I am just so sad about the way in which Holly Black decided to go. Was their relationship cute? Yes, it was cute. But did I want a cute relationship when I read The Cruel Prince? No, I didn't want a cute relationship. And people are always saying like, oh, people forget that this is enemies to lovers. And I'm just like, people didn't forget that. It just wasn't done well. I just was not convinced that they loved each other. Did I love their relationship? Yes. Did I love their interactions in Queen of Nothing? Yes. But if I thought about it, I was like, where the hell did these lovebirds come from? And if I give it the benefit of the doubt, I think Cardan's love could be believable. But why did Jude love Cardan? I never believed it. She didn't give him any shit for the whole exiling thing. Like, she literally forgave him immediately and like never seemed to be angry about it. It seems fucking ridiculous and so unlike her character. Let's go into the whole no death situation. If you told me after reading The Cruel Prince that in the end everybody lived and there was a happy ending where they were all eating pizza at the end, I would have closed the book immediately and just ignored it. That is just not what it set up for. You see why I feel like Queen of Nothing is a completely different book? It just seems like a fan fiction to me, which again is fine, and I would have been okay with it if we got more development in Jude and Cardan's relationship. Also, I'm really disappointed with how Madoc was, achieved. I thought the punishment fit the crime and fit Madoc's character, but I just think he got off a little scot-free, in my opinion. Don't think it's a good concluding novel to the series that it's supposedly concluding. If The Folk in the Air was an essay, the thesis and the conclusion would not match up. Aphrodite reads more like Titania reads. Well, let's get into what you guys thought and the things I got from Twitter. First comment I have is from Snowing in Texas, and they had two things to say. One, they said Cardan naked and covered in blood. That hit different. I love me a vampiric moment, so I'm not gonna agree nor disagree with that one. Jude's sentencing of Madoc felt too easy. He tried to kill her husband and manipulate her and would have killed so many people to get the crown. She showed him too much kindness because of their past. Like I said, I do agree, but if I'm being honest, I really didn't expect Jude to kill him, and I feel like their relationship is too close. If you don't feel any resentment to the person that killed your parents and kidnapped you to this crazy world, I don't think anything is really going to make you want to kill them afterward. The next thing somebody said was from Nightmareness. They said, it felt like there wasn't enough Jude Cardan page time, and I wonder if it's because the author also had to rush to complete Maleficent Heart of the Moors. I totally agree, especially if you are referencing like the drastic change between the rest of the series and Queen of Nothing. Also, I'm taking this headband off because one, I'm pretty much done with my makeup and it's digging into my scalp. I feel like Jude and Cardan didn't spend enough time with each other to warrant the feelings that they felt for each other. I actually didn't consider Maleficent Heart of the Moors as her kind of rushing, because that would definitely probably play into it. And Bailey from Read by Fire said that it was rushed and the characters didn't act at all like themselves. I don't know if it was rushed per se. I actually think that Queen of Nothing had a pretty solid pace. I don't necessarily think it was rushed, but I think it was rushed in a sense that if you look at the three books as a whole, or like how Holly Black had to rush to get them out, I agree. And again, I also agree that the characters didn't at all act like themselves. Also, I have very much been a proponent of Jude as a Capricorn, and let me just say, I am taking this moment to put on my clown nose and declare that she's definitely a Scorpio, 100%. She's got a Capricorn moon, but that bitch is a Scorpio because of her behavior in Queen of Nothing. A Capricorn would never. Now we have Readings Cozy said that I just wish there were more pages because it was so short and it felt a little rushed. Also feel like Taryn and Madoc got away too easily for what they'd done to Jude. I definitely agree that it should have been longer. I think for what it wasn't necessarily rushed, though the climax was pretty shitty, but again, because I see Queen of Nothing as a romance book, I kind of forgive it in that sense. But yes, it should have been longer. So should have The Wicked King. They both should have been longer. Also, Taryn and Madoc got away too easily. Yeah, we've discussed that. Madison from Princess of Paperback, she DM'd me and she said, okay, Taryn was forgiven way too easily in Queen of Nothing. Yes, Locke's death was too easy. Yep, hopefully we get a novella to explain how the fuck that happened. That would be great. I would love that. I need fan art of Cardan naked, covered in blood by the snake already. I would love to see that. Also, I really want fan art of Cardan drinking Slurpees and eating gummy worms. Please give that to me. Also, the fact that Vivian gave Cardan a snow globe that said congratulations on your promotion and it had a cat inside of it. Most iconic moment of Queen of Nothing, and I will hear no objections to it, period. Hot damn, there was a lot of mentions of his tail, but I'm low-key here for it. I don't care about the tail. I really don't. He's a fucking fairy, for God's sakes. Like, who cares if he has a tail? It really doesn't matter. But I'm glad the tail stands got their content. Jude really came into herself here and accepted her heart while still being a bad bitch. I do think Queen of Nothing definitely brought back the strategic manipulation, like conniving mind that we see from Jude and the Cruel Prince, and I was so thankful for it. And I do like, again, if I'm looking at the book as a standalone, I do like that she got to see her soft side a little bit in Queen of Nothing. I just don't believe that she loved Cardan. Like, I just don't believe that. I just, to me, did not see that development. But yes, I do love that she was able to be soft and also a bad bitch. Grima Mog is hilarious. I didn't really mention her in this video, but I definitely loved her. I loved that her relationship with Jude. Queen of Nothing reminded me of Aqua War. I haven't read that, but I have heard other people compare it to. I just saw Olivia Rizalate say the exact same thing. Holly blessed us with all the outfit descriptions. Yep, absolutely. Like I said, I think she really just went in on the outfits and she went there and I was so here for it. We have the Villain's Quest. They said the characters lost all of their personality and motivations. I don't necessarily think they lost all of their personality and motivations, but I just think that they change from the previous book from what we've seen of them. Plot made no absolute sense to anyone who isn't high because the characters don't have motivations, so really anything that happens feels forced and Riverdale level of weird. You know what? It low-key is a little Riverdale-esque, and that's just because of the freaking fanfiction aspect of this. It's not really about the plot, it's just about Jude and Cardan. How old is Oak supposed to be? In the first book he was a toddler, and then Jude took in her arms and now he speaks like a annoying teenager in his emo phase. Maybe he's younger than 10, but I know plenty of boys who are like younger than 10 and they act like Oak, so to me he seemed to be realistic. Matic really be out there saying that he's done with being a general and plotting? Really? Yeah. Like, do I believe that he's gonna be a retired housewife now? No. Jude forgot Taryn's bullshit in 2 seconds and hired her to be a home designer. What the fuck? Yeah. The number one skill that Taryn has in Jude's eyes is to be a freaking interior designer. That really just goes to show how little of a fuck Holly Black cared about Taryn. The snake plot twist, what the fucking fuck was that? Came out of nowhere, didn't really have any suspense to it, didn't really have any consequences to it. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Alright, so that was a lot. I am going to do my liner, lashes, eyes, finish up this whole look, and I will be back to sum up all of my thoughts about this trilogy. Alright guys, so here is the final look. I absolutely adore how this came out. I think it looks so pretty. My closing thoughts on the trilogy. The Cruel Prince promises this really dark fantasy that we don't really see a lot in YA, and I think that The Cruel Prince set precedent for what YA can be. The Wicked King, though, literally drowns this series. It's the reason to me that it isn't as cohesive as it could have been. Queen of Nothing is this amazing romance fantasy, and although it is completely different from the rest of the series, and especially completely different from point A to point B when it comes to Cruel Prince to Queen of Nothing. It is a lovely romance story. Don't think it is a good conclusion, and I don't think it did what the Cruel Prince promised it was going to do. This trilogy as a whole doesn't seem all that cohesive. I'm not sure if it's because Holly Black didn't necessarily know where she was going to go, or if the publishers kind of forced her to go a direction that she didn't intend to go, forced her to rush it. I'm not entirely sure, but when I look at the books individually, they don't seem to build on one another in a cohesive way. And also, the trilogy would have been better as New Adult. Please let me know down below what you thought about this trilogy, what you thought about Queen of Nothing. Please be mindful of spoilers. Make sure you always tag them. That is it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!